Well, hello everybody. It's Monday, June 29th. That's my time. It's almost 3 in the afternoon. I'm getting ready to go into Tuesday the 30th Tokyo session here in the next couple hours. So I just wanted to review a little bit. Last night my time. Yesterday going into London, or during the London session, I actually posted a setup on the Euro-Japanese yen, and I ended up taking a trade on it. I was just watching this general nice tight range it was trading in, less than 50 pips. I like when the Euro yen and the pound yen trade in a nice narrow range like that. At least for this pair, that's a narrow range. Because there's so much price activity in it and can make these big spikes. So I like looking for a nice tight range if it's not squeezing into a consolidation or squeezing down into a wedge. I like to watch this nice little range. We had, a couple breaks through the 3400, but for the most part it stayed pretty consistent, especially it's staying below this daily pivot of 3394. It kept going up. I was watching price action. That's the one thing I always do. When I see a setup, I keep my eyes on the screen, and it can get a little monotonous, but it kept hitting and hitting and hitting the 34. It finally popped through just a little bit, right to about where the top of this candle is. Only like to 3402, 3403, and then it fell back down. Then it kept crossing, and then finally it poked up a little further to match the top of this candle, and then bounced around in here without going back below the 34. And on one of those dips back down, I got in it. I believe at 02. I took a buy, and it slowly creeped up. Didn't do a whole heck of a lot, and then started to drop, and then this candle opened and stayed red for quite some time, and by that time the sun was coming up my time, and I was ready to go to bed. And I do not like to leave trades open unless I'm way in profit and I can set a trailing stop. Otherwise, I don't want to just let it keep going, because eventually, especially on these pairs, they can spike around a lot, and it could spike back down and take out my stop. Even if I'm in profit, then I lose all the extra. So anyway, long story short, when I first opened the trade, I set my stop at 50, which is safely down here below some of these wicks. But once it made the break, and then I decided I was going to close, I just I took my stop loss off and continued just to watch the action, and then I cleared it out right around in here for 10 pip profit. 10 pips is 10 pips. It's a step forward, not a step backwards, and when you're trading Forex, every little step forward helps. I could have left it on, and since it broke above here, and this was a support, and the daily pivot was acting as a support too. You can see where it came right down here and hit the daily pivot. This was the same pivot as last night. This will probably reprogram. To be honest with you, I'm not sure how and when these time frames reestablish themselves to recalculate the pivots. But for right now and back then, this pivot held pretty true as a support. But this was already after I had closed out. And then it just took a nice run after that, and if I would have just left it open with my 50 down there, it would have made a nice run, and I could have woke up and cashed out up here. But like I said, I don't like leaving things open, especially if I can't watch price action, and especially if I can't listen to the news. I've got financial news. I've got Bloomberg on all the time. That's here on the website. I keep it on in the background, and I'm always listening. Because they have the best breaking news, I think, and they have the best Forex coverage, I think, of any of at least the U.S. Financial networks. They cover Forex a lot better than I think a lot of the other American networks do. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. You know, it was a nice little setup, and it made a really nice break. Actually, I was going to set a take profit right here, and you can see it slowed down, but then continued in the next hour and continued back up again. So, you know, unfortunately we can't get them all, but at least I did get 10 pips. It was something to start out the week. So I just wanted to point that out to you. Now going into Tokyo, what I see here on the US Canadian, now the Canadian doesn't get a lot of play in the Tokyo market, but I just looked back over the last week or so, and it does make a 3 or 30, sometimes 40, once even a 50 pip move after a break of a consolidation or a squeeze. So we've got a consolidation going right here. That's when it's trading in a range, and then it stays in a range and keeps getting smaller and smaller and makes an arrowhead or like a pointing symbol, a triangle like that. But the other setup that I always talk about is a wedge where it finds support. I'm trying to think here. Actually, there's kind of a wedge setting up here on the euro right now, the euro US dollar. It's finding support right along here, which is 40.72. That's what the current price is right now. So you figure 40.70, 40.65. The price action is squeezing down and finding support right along here. Now, 80% of the time, it will make a break and continue in the direction that it's squeezing down. So it'll squeeze down, pop through, and keep breaking down this way. But 20-25% of the time, it will, you know, what I usually do is I draw a trend line from top to bottom like that, or, you know, just for reference. And sometimes it will squeeze, and then pop back and take like a bounce and pop through the trend line. That happens about 20% of the time, but most of the time it will pop through the support resistance and keep going in the direction that the squeeze is forming. And usually when it does it that way, breaks through the direction of the squeeze, it usually makes a better run. So I always expect less profit when it bounces up this way, but I expect more profit when it breaks in the direction of the squeeze. And by that I mean this is squeezing down, so a break downwards would be a better move usually. So that's the euro US dollar going into Tokyo. Like I said yesterday too, I mentioned on the blog, I believe, yeah I did, that summertime, a lot of the European bankers, Asian bankers, definitely a lot of the Swiss bankers take holidays. And, you know, unlike Americans, you Europeans are lucky enough to get lots of holiday time. We usually don't. But even American bankers, you know, they're so well paid and so usually high up in the company that they do get long vacations also. And summertime is when everybody takes their vacations. So, you know, with the lack of bank funds in the market tends to slow down, and volume decreases by quite a bit and can add some volatility to the market. So that's always something to keep aware of when you're trading this time of year. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short. I'm getting ready to get to my 10-minute limit for YouTube, so I will probably post something before London. You guys have a good day.